into the second week of this trip this year, which is going to be the last trip we make before we move out here permanently. And we haven't done a lot of videos. I know that Jen's been posting quite a bit of stuff up on Facebook, but we haven't done many videos this trip because, to be frankly honest with you, we have a very short amount of time, or a very short window, and an enormous amount of work to be done. So we figured, well, it just sort of happened this way, that we were getting all of these projects done and you know, after 12 and 14-hour days, you know, trying to go back and videotape some of this stuff is just wasn't possible. So we decided that we would just I would spend some time this morning and kind of go over a review of the different things that we've got going on, and show you guys what we've been doing, and kind of talk about what we did and why we did it, and what we'll be doing to do a few of these things better, and then some of the smaller projects and things like that. So all right, here we go. So behind me here is the pad where we will be building our, or we'll be putting our cabins, two of them actually. We have a 14 by 36 and a 14 by 30 that we'll be building, or that we're having built, and they'll deliver next summer. So this year, part of the plan was to build the pad, and we ran into a extremely nice gentleman named Billy, and so he is out here working on this, getting this pad ready. In addition, one of the projects we've been working on these last couple of days is clearing out what we would consider as our backyard. Now, if you remember last year, this was all wooded, mainly with alders and just a lot of nasty brush. This year though, we've continued cutting through. We've started cutting through this here because eventually this will be a road, and then this will eventually be a road that's going to lead back to the barn. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of cutting. So in addition to the cutting and to this backyard area that we want to create, we're also going to be dumping some gravel here, and we're going to make a nice little pad out in the back. So once we have the cabin up, we'll be able to have a nice little deck area in the back, or at least a pad that we can you know, put a picnic table back there or whatnot. So to give you some orientation of the cabin, so if you can see back here, there's a little red flag, and there's a little red flag here. So this line will be the back of the cabin, and then all of this area back here will be our backyard slash, you know, whatever. I mean, we're gonna still clear all of this out. We're gonna leave some trees, but we want to clear that out and open it up. Last year, we took down an enormous amount of trees back here and cleared out this. This is behind the existing cabin. So we're gonna cut down, clear all this brush out, and we also skinned a bunch of trees here. A lot of these hemlocks, because we will be knocking those down over the next couple of years for firewood, and then continuing to open this area up back here. So lots of fun stuff with this project here. So one of the bigger projects we worked on, or most expensive projects we worked on this year, was getting water. So if you have been watching our channel, last year when we were here, we were having to drive about an hour and 15 minutes round trip to bring in about 30 gallons of water every day. It was brutal. So this year we pulled the trigger and had our well dug. There's some videos and some pictures that Jen had put up on Facebook, but I'll kind of walk through it with you now, and then we'll talk about one of the projects we've got left to do this trip this year. So here's the well. It was dug. It's 240 feet deep, and we are using an RPS Solar 400 as our well pump. Obviously right now it's simply kind of just thrown together so we can get water out of it. Eventually, by the end of this trip, probably in a week or two, or about a week or so, you can see these green flags here. We're going to build a water pump shed that'll house the pump, whatever we need for hoses, and it will also hold the solar panels on the roof, and then the controller and future battery inside as well. So and it is in relatively close proximity to the cabin, so once we get out here we'll dig an underground trench and run water to the cabin. We'll then also run water from here down through these trees here over to the barn that will eventually be built. In addition, we'll also run a line from the well out to this area. We're gonna have a little she shed for Jen, and then also the hoop house, and then the garden will fill in all of this area here. Now last year we had talked about the garden, and we had done a lot of wood chipping, and you can kind of see the remnants of the wood chips here. Unfortunately, things changed, and you know, we wanted to have, we had an idea, we had a plan, but like everything else in life, you know, when things change, we had originally wanted to put the cabin on the other side of this open lot, and we decided to move it here. So when we did that, we knew we needed to change the garden. So we're gonna change the garden, but we won't do that for another couple of years probably. So there'll be more videos on that later. Another project we worked on this year is solar for the cabin. So last year we calculated we were running about $20 a day on gas for the generator, which gets expensive. I mean, it not only is it expensive for the gas to run the generator, but it's expensive for us to drive an hour and a half or an hour and 15 minutes round trip to go get gas. And so we wanted to try solar out this year. Let's go take a look at that. So say what you will about Harbor Freight, but I will say this. We bought 3 100-watt solar systems from Harbor Freight. Each one of these panels produce 25 watts, so they produce 100 watts per set or per kit. So in this sense, we're generating 300 watts. We've got the cords lining up and into this little makeshift generator or power cell here. So we've got the Harbor Freight controller, combiner box in the back. We bought a Renogy 12 volt 200 amp hour battery, and we bought a Jupiter, again from Harbor Freight, 2000 watt inverter. So here's what I'll say about the Harbor Freight solar system. It works. I mean, it does. You know, people can say what they want, and I've read both good and bad reviews. But the system works. At least it works for us. And so right now, what we've got running, when we turn this on, we have 2 refrigerators, 2 mini fridges. We've got several lights, all 4-watt LED lights. We've got a couple of fans running in the cabin. We also have the coffee maker that runs. We've got an extra tower fan, and then we also have we have an electric camping washing machine that she uses as well. And when we have full sun, this works great. I mean, it does power everything. Now, granted, it is pulling out of the battery, and without the sunlight, the battery doesn't last very long. I mean, it might give us 2 or 3 hours. But if I've got full sun, and unfortunately we don't today, we've ran this system for about 12 hours with no problems whatsoever. Unfortunately, we really need the full sun to do that, because this system just cannot produce enough electricity to keep the battery charged on a cloudy day. So in any time that we can run this system, we're just saving money on the generator, because again, I mean, it's $20 a day between the night and the daytime to run that, and it's costly. So A++ to Harbor Freight and to the Thunderbolt solar panels, because again, I mean, it has certainly been a blessing, and it's saved us about $100 so far. So any savings that we can get by not running the generator, we'll take. So another relatively big project we had to do this summer was, you know, where we're at here in Maine, there is no cell phone signal, and last year it beat us up pretty good. If we wanted to use the internet, send a text, make a call, or anything for that matter, we had to drive several miles down the road. So this year we decided to invest in a WeBoost, and boy, thank goodness we did that, because that has made a night and day difference to the morale, to our everyday life here. Having access to the outside world through the internet has been just a welcoming luxury, so to speak. So let's get into that. So this is the WeBoost 65, our RV65 tower that comes with the setup. I think it extends up 25 feet, and I'd gotten an app where it would show me the closest towers, and so we ballpark pointed that little antenna up on the top towards that tower, and it has just been, like I said earlier, a godsend. I mean, it's been awesome. The antenna up here runs down the tower and then runs into the window, and on the inside wall there we've got the other two boxes, the inside, the internal antenna, and then I'm assuming it's the actual boosting box. So let's take a look. This is the WeBoost 65. That's the inside antenna, and that's the actual WeBoost. And as you can see, we have four bars on it, and it just kind of wires in from the outside, plugs into the electric, and we have service. So another project we had this year was to build a fence line along the access road into our property. A couple of reasons we wanted to do that was, number one, we just wanted to create some privacy. You know, we're at a place on the road where not many people come through, but we do have some folks that come through with ATVs and other stuff, and hey, that's great, that's cool. A lot of great country to see, but you know, I think over the years as we get older, we're going to want a little bit of privacy. So we're going to put this fence up. We're going to plant some lilac trees on the outside, because my wife loves lilac flowers. So hopefully we'll get some blooms in the spring and summer, and it should look pretty good. The other reason we want to put up a fence is really for the livestock guardian dogs and the livestock that we'll have in a few years from now. So this fence is going to play a major role in making sure and keeping our livestock and our animals on the property and not roaming around. So let's take a look at that. So when we talk about a fence line here, what we're really wanting to do is just create some kind of a line between the road here off to the left and our property. The other thing that mentioned, we want to line lilac trees all the way along this road here, all the way up to where our driveway will be. We started knocking out, or at least marking, the post line, and so we get into our posts here. These are all cedar posts that we just picked up, and behind it are the rungs, cedar as well. I think they're called, like, I don't know, three-sided cedar rungs, split rail, something like that. If you know what they're called, just leave me a comment. But we'll use these as the rungs. I think we're going to go 2 high, maybe 3. I'm not sure yet. But yep, here's our fence. So another project that we had out here when we first got here, one of the things that we don't have out here is a lot of storage. There's not a lot of outbuildings. We've got one shed, and then we have the one cabin that we sleep in. So our son-in-law is out here with us, and he loves building stuff, and so we gave him a job of building us a little 3-sided shed in the back of our current shed, and we think he did a phenomenal job on it. We've got some cedar posts and some cedar planks that we're storing. There was a video earlier in our YouTube channel where we had reclaimed some cedar fence posts. So this little shed here is going to hold those until we get to use those on an accent wall in the main cabin when it gets delivered next year. So let's take a look at that. So this is on the back of our shed, and we built a little 3-sided shed. It's nothing big, just enough to hold our the rest of our cedar roofing, and then some flooring that we have in, some laminate flooring, and then the cedar fence post that we'll use as an accent for the inside of the main cabin next year. And we also used he used the cedar shingles as the roofing for this. We will probably add a tarp to the front, really not to make it completely weatherproof, but certainly we want to try and keep as much of the snow when it comes and water out of this, at least from the front here, from this stuff here. So we'll see how it goes, but this was a great addition, and gives us plenty of storage, additional storage space. So kudos to Josh for making this happen. So that pretty much covers all the major projects and everything we've been doing here the last week. Now there are some other small things that we've done, like for instance, we added some drying racks to the side of the cabin. We got some pallets because we're going to change the way that our water barrels are set up. But for the most part, I mean, this video really gives a good snapshot of all the projects that we've been working on. Now this past 7 or 8 days has not gone without challenges, and we've had some pretty big ones. The mower that we had went kaput on us, and that was a real devastating blow, because when we got here, the grass was about 3 to 4 feet in some areas. So we needed to get this grass mowed before we could actually do anything. You couldn't walk on the property without being inundated with grass. So we ended up having to go out and we got a brand new one, which we were going to do anyways. We just hadn't planned on doing it this year, or this early, and this year. Additionally, the hot water heater that we used last year, which was awesome, when we left last summer, we disconnected it and put it into the cabin. What we failed to do is that on the bottom of these instant hot water heaters, there is a valve that drains the water from inside the coils. We forgot to do that, and as a result of that, during the winter, it did exactly what you're probably thinking it did. It froze all the water inside and busted all the copper piping. Now when we first got here and I set this up, I set it up and I was under the impression we were going to be having hot showers, but I was in for a rude awakening. I turned that thing on and I had water peeing out of every single pipe and crevice within that unit. More cracks than I could possibly weld and fix. So we ended up having to order a new one, and it got delivered. We had it delivered to our neighbor down the street, and it's installed now and it works like a charm. So other than that, you know, like I said, I mean, there's some other little things here and there that we're doing, but yeah, I think we're going to end this video with knowing that, you know, we've got a lot more left to do. We've had a lot of good successes, some failures. We're losing our son-in-law today. He's heading back home. He's got to get back to work. So yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're not subscribed yet, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're on Facebook, you can look us up and follow that as well. A lot more posts on Facebook because you know, we tend to take pictures here and there, and we're still developing our YouTube channel and our Facebook group, so, and our Facebook page, which we just started as well. So again, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and we'll see you on the next video.